Gardening and cooking in RimWorld Medieval Overhaul. There's a lot to consider just by looking at the list of things you can grow and cook. So where do you start? What should you grow first? In what order should you research things? How do you cook all this stuff? Can you build a medieval nutrient paste dispenser? How do you trade over long distances in medieval times? Did they have go juice back then? Let's get into it. Don't forget to drop a like and sub if you enjoyed the video. Here's everything I've learned about growing and cooking in RimWorld Medieval Overhaul. A full list of the mods I use for a medieval magical RimWorld playthrough is in the video description. The mods we'll be covering on the topics of gardening and cooking are Medieval Overhaul, A RimWorld of Magic, Rim Medieval, Dark Ages Medieval Tools, Tilled Soil, Medieval Go Juice, Medieval Medicines, Vanilla Furniture Expanded Farming, and VGP Vegetable Garden. I put my best efforts at researching and editing into this video, so I really hope it helps. And if you notice I missed anything, or something is incorrect, please say something in the comments, so I can pin it for everyone who was trying to figure all this stuff out too. You may have noticed I did not include Medieval Overhaul patches. This is because I tried it out, and with respect to the developers and their intentions, in my humble opinion, it is much easier without it. All the extra research alone makes it take way too much time to get anything done. Without it, you can make straw on drying racks. With it, you cannot. The only upside was that it would allow you to refine neutroamine at an alchemy bench, along with farmable neutroamine mod, which I am not suggesting. The only use for neutroamine is Parisian medicine, basically medieval glitter world medicine. And you can buy enough neutroamine to suit your medicine needs without growing it, so it's totally pointless and makes everything way more difficult. You can have a perfectly balanced and straightforward medieval magical playthrough with the mod list I put together here. After downloading the mods, clicking auto sort in the in-game mod menu and enabling them, here's how I would get started. Before you garden, till the soil. Some plants will be fine with you tilling while they're still growing, but others will not. On its own, Medieval Overhaul comes with plowed soil, not tilled soil, after you research basic agriculture, but that only gets fertility up to 125%. So just download tilled soil for 200% fertility and no research time wasted. Craft scythes, a handy addition from the Dark Ages Medieval Tools mod. Equip them on your gardening pawns for a sweet buff of 20% plant work speed and 15% harvest yield. Note, forget about hatchets. They only give you 5% plant work speed, just make scythes. Some other nice tools are meat cleavers for cooks, brooms for cleaners, picks for miners, hammers for builders, bone saws for doctors, and guard batons for wardens. Scarecrows keep small animals away within an 11-cell radius. Use the planter's box and the tillable planter's box from Vanilla Furniture Expanded mod to grow your garden on rocky terrain. They cannot be tilled, however, so they will stay at 100% fertility. What to grow first and why? We're going to make hardtack, stuff elves eat in Lord of the Rings. So sow some rice as usual, but also grow heel root, cloth, psychoid, smoke leaf, and fiber corn, because you never know when all the trees could die. Plus, you're going to need a lot of wood. Research cultivation. Then grow parasite thorn bush and pomana serum bush. I'll show you why in a moment. Now is the time to research basic cooking. Note, a fine meal is the same cost as a simple meal, it just needs to be 20/20 meat veg rather than 40 of anything. Stoves, rustic cooking table versus fueled stove comparison. So this gets a little confusing, but basically, you want to start with a fueled stove because you can make hardtack and medieval go juice right off the bat. It's the rustic cooking table where you can cook all the cool meals you learned from researching basic cooking. If you have to make the choice for survival's sake, I suggest the fueled stove first, i.e. the hardtack and the go juice, then move on to the fueled stove for the yummy treats. Cooking tools increase cooking speed by 6% each, and you can apply up to 2 per rustic cooking workbench. Medieval go juice is made with psychoid leaves at a fueled stove or a soup pot. We'll get into soup in a moment. At a rustic cooking table, after researching basic cooking, you can now cook fried eggs, mashed potatoes, pumpkin fritters, raw sausages, don't eat those just yet, spices, tallow, carnivore, vegetarian, and regular fine meals, fine desserts, and mana potions. Mana potions are where the rest of the psychoid leaf, smoke leaf, and serum come in. What the heck is serum? It's a magically infused drink made from mashed pomana fruit, which comes from the pomana serum bushes we planted earlier. You got that? Good, because you want lots of mana potions. They can be crafted at either cooking bench, the fueled stove, or the rustic cooking table. That way your mages don't give a fug about mana bars. Warning, use only as needed because they are addictive and expensive. Note, candles, tallow, and fat. You'll get a bit of fat from butchering. If you save it by not allowing your colonists to cook with it, which they will try, you can craft it into tallow. Tallow is nice for making candles. Place candles on all your workbenches to keep a small area around them lit. If your main light source goes out for a while, at least your pawns will have some light while they toil into the night. You ever try cooking in the dark? Yeah, I bet you wish you had a candle. Research smoker. Stick your meat in there, make it taste good, last longer too. Something everybody wants. Research food preservation. Drying rack. Keep it in a safe place outdoors. Hang your raw meat on it. It'll last longer and no longer be considered raw. At first, you'll probably just eat it as is, but as you research more, you can cook it into more complex meals. The drying rack is also how you make straw rather than buying it. I apologize for not including that bit of info in my last medieval tips video. It took me a very long time to figure that out. Next, I would research Devil Strand around the end of the first year so you can start growing it by spring. Stockpile it as much as possible. Forget about wealth. Your wealth is why you want the Devil Strand. I'll explain why later. Emergency mushrooms! This is to make sure you absolutely, positively will not starve no matter what the environment is like outside. Mushrooms. Which ones can you eat and how do you grow mushrooms without a cave? Firstly, Nutrifungus is from Ideology DLC, which goes well with all these mods. Next we have Baby Agaralux from VGP Vegetable Garden. I almost forgot to include VGP Vegetable Garden's regular mushrooms. There's also Medieval Overhaul's version of regular mushrooms, but those need 51% light or more, so this little trick isn't going to work for them. Here's how you recreate a cave-like environment for your shroomies. Build walls around your grow area and put a roof over top. Place a campfire in the corner and wall it off with one wall and a door. Leave the door open. Keep the fire fueled as needed to keep the mushrooms in their Goldilocks zone, which is not difficult. There you go. Your colonists will be fed, not dead, even if you have a 40-day and counting psychic rain. What is psychic rain? It's really bad. You don't want that. Just stay inside and enjoy your shrooms. Research basic and intermediate agriculture over winter if you can, so you can grow wheat by your second spring. That way it'll be ready to harvest by the time fall gets here. Speaking of which, I don't know if anyone else does this, but I start the garden in the spring right before it's warm enough for the plants. Like as it's still freezing but about to be warm, that's when I start planting. I figure you might lose a few plants, but replacing those is way faster than sowing an entire garden. Plus your garden gets the full amount of time of growing season, not waiting around for your peg-leg gardeners to get around to it. Millstone and windmill. The millstone is where you make flour by hand. You can also make sugar here, but we're focusing on wheat for right now. The windmill not only looks pretty cool, reminds me of Pokemon, but it grinds flour into wheat en masse and also makes planks out of logs for you. Hay is a byproduct of milling wheat, so stick it on the drying rack to make more straw and expand your freezer. Grow wheat. Lots of it. Research baking while your wheat is growing. Wheat takes a bit of time to grow, but it's well worth the payoff. Keep growing rice, hunting, and gathering in the meantime. Ovens. Rustic oven versus large oven. Both benefit from up to 2 baking tools nearby, increasing baking speed by 6% each. The rustic oven allows you to bake 2 loaves with 5 flour or 10 loaves with 25 flour. Large ovens cost less flour but only make batches of 100 loaves at a time, which takes 205 flour, saving 45 flour per 100 loaves. You're welcome. Freeze the bread. If you don't have a freezer, check out my medieval tips video number 1 on how to make a freezer without electricity. You can save space in your storage by keeping the wheat and flour in another safe area. They both last about a year even if you don't freeze them, and then convert that area into a freezer later. So I wanted to get you to this point where you're stockpiled on wheat and flour and you can bake. Now your food problems are solved and you can get into making a variety of other cool stuff at your leisure. It took me 7 in-game years to figure this out. Researching grill allows for cooking meals with an open fire grill, adding a mood buff for good flavor. Now you can cook those raw sausages. Research stews and rustic furniture to construct a soup pot for a bunch of delicious soups. Soup pots also benefit from cooking tables. In the soup pot, you can cook up medieval go juice, bone soup, winter lentil soup, mushroom soup, a vegetable pot, and boiled lentils with onion, all with nice little mood buffs for the extra trouble. Researching rustic furniture gets you to beer brewing and pressing. Research beer brewing. With a brewery, your colonists can take raw ingredients and turn them into worts, minces, and musts. Speed things up with a mixing barrel or 2 nearby. Then lovingly place your squishy goods in a fermenting barrel and keep the temperature in the Goldilocks zone. Alcohols and non-alcohols. Place the respective ingredients into a fermenting barrel to create beer, ale, wine, mead, mulberry wine, and griffin wine. Back at the brewery, you can also make chocomilk, fruit drinks, garden coffee, garden tea, barley tea, and honey mead. You get smoky honey from raw smoky honeycombs. The wax you gain from breaking them down can be turned into more candles, saving your tallow for fuel. You get raw smoky honeycombs from apiaries, fueled with raw meat. You construct an apiary from iron, some wood or bone, and an Oswin queen. You get an Oswin queen after you destroy a bee's nest, not a hornet's nest. There's a big difference. However, if you get a chance to snag some of that precious hornet jelly, it is very good at getting your pawns ready for battle. It is also very expensive and can be sold for a nice chunk of silver in the beginning. Brewing beer allows you to make late medieval medicine. Using the beer to sterilize your early medieval medicine, you should be able to make early medieval medicine with just cloth and heel root. Parisian medicine is the equivalent of Glitterworld medicine. Rather than the farmable neutroamine mod, just buy neutroamine like you would in vanilla. We've been over this. Research pressing. Pressing allows you to build a cheese press and a paper press. If you have farm animals that produce milk, you can now make cheese. Paper is for raising your pawn's overall skills. This gives you books for your dumb colonists to read so they can be less dumb over time. You can craft a treatise with 50 paper at a book scribe table. You make paper at the paper press with paper mixture. You craft paper mixture at a workbench with raw wood logs or timber. The quality of the treatise depends on the intelligence of the author. Your pawns can then read them during recreation time and passively raise their respective skill points. Research smithing to learn nutrient paste dispensers. Nah, just kidding. But the Fondue, Ragout, and Slop pots are the medieval equivalent of the nutrient paste dispenser. Fondue pot turns cheese into fondue, a delicious cheesy soup. The Ragout pot is for meat, especially meat that is about to spoil. The Slop pot is for everything else. It even sounds like a nutrient paste dispenser too. Pretty cool. Intermediate cooking. The prerequisite is basic cooking, and the other requirement is an intermediate cooking schematic, which can be bought by trading with the traveling scholars of the noble houses. It unlocks bread soup, sweet pancakes, tomato omelet, carnivore, vegetarian, and regular lavish meals, as well as apple pie, something called pumpkin pie? Wonder how he got that name. Carrot cake, lemon cake, lavish bake, quiche, grilled cheese, lavish grill, hunter stew, and pumpkin soup, all with their respective mood buffs for going through the extra steps. Advanced cooking. The prerequisite is intermediate cooking, and the other requirement is an advanced cooking schematic, which can again be bought by trading with the traveling scholars of the noble houses, which unlocks cheese soup, gourmet dessert, gourmet meal, rocks steak, steak with wine, gourmet bake, griffinberry pie, and gourmet grill. At this point, you probably have an excess of goods, which is good and bad. Your pawns are happy and thriving, but your abundance is bound to attract a large number of highly envious enemies at any moment. What to do with all the stuff? The messenger table, when used alongside a bird post, allow for correspondence with faraway lands faster than a messenger can run there. Think of your messenger table as your comms table and the bird post as its electricity, but in this case it runs on meat, or hay, but mostly meat. You can only sell goods if they are near a loading cart. The loading cart is your trade beacon. You can also request an ally to give a lecture on your current research topic, or invite rival factions over for a challenge. The scribing table, devil strand, cloth, and magicite. Why did I ask you to grow devil strand and parasite thornbush way back in the beginning? That's so you can have the most dangerous and OP spells in the game. All mages have a spell that is way better than all their other spells, but you can only learn it with a scroll. All scrolls need magicite, which you have from the parasite thornbush. They also need either cloth or devil strand. In your mage's magic skills tree, find the spell that they can learn. At a scribing table, look for your pawn's mage class. Craft the scroll and have your mage read it. Some interesting ones are Resurrection for priests, so they can bring people back to life. Blood Moon for blood mages, so they can summon demons from hell to fight for you. Living Wall for Goalmancers, which gives a wall a will of its own. And a whole lot more, which is really great for castle-based defense. Once you sell all your extra stuff, ask yourself, what do I need the most? Food, medicine, or security? By now it's probably security, so I'll get into magical medieval defenses in my next video. Protect stuff, including my secret weapon, the last-ditch effort when all else fails. It's so cheap, it's so simple, anyone can do it. I really hope this helped. I know medieval RimWorld can be confusing. I made this video in hopes of reaching out to the RimWorld community so we can kind of figure all this stuff out together. So please ask all the questions you have in the comments. Chances are somebody else probably has that question too. Hit like and subscribe if you made it this far, because I have 9 more ideas ready to go on medieval magical RimWorld tips I've learned along the way. Good luck on your medieval magical RimWorld story, and hey, give Randy Random a run for his money for me, will ya? Which medieval RimWorld meme are you gonna play? With vanilla ideology expanded, memes and structures, you can play as medieval monarchists, Nordic matriarchies, dwarven artificers, primitivistic nomads, and a whole bunch of other ideologies. Get vanilla weapons expanded to include flintlocks, muskets, and handguns, a rustic shotgun. Be sure to include Rim Medieval though, to make sure your enemies don't have guns more advanced than yours, as well as removing mechs and all industrial tech from your playthrough. Don't forget to research gunpowder in vanilla expanded for flintlocks and muskets, then gunpowder in medieval overhaul for the handgun. Research reinvented will make this all go a lot faster. Cheers! 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 Cheers!